Narelle, great to be here and have the opportunity of talking with you about DASAT.
Thanks, Allan.
So tell me about DASAT.
DASAT stands for Digital Access Solutions and Assistive Technology Proprietary Limited. We call it DASAT because the full name is a mouthful. DASAT came about 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago. Mark Muscat is the original founder. Mark left the organisation he was working for and he wanted to keep working in the assistive technology field, in the web development and using his IT skills to continue the work. I joined in about 6 months ago. I've got an IT background as well, and I'm very passionate about accessibility, and so I'm consulting on that basis there.
And may I ask, I understand you've more recently become sight impaired.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's it. I was born short-sighted.
Right.
The type of short-sightedness I've got means that I will lose my sight completely. So about 16 years ago, I went to the optometrist, driving, no problems. Well, I thought there were no problems, and I walked out being told you can't drive again. And it's just deteriorated since then. So I was legally blind then. Now I am legally and functionally blind.
Narelle, talk to me about accessibility.
Accessibility has different meanings for everyone. For me, it is communication.
Wow.
It is all about how we communicate with others, whether it's a person with a disability, whether it's a person that's just lost their glasses that day, whether it's a person, their hearing aids, the batteries in their hearing aids are gone flat. It could even be someone that never completed school. There's such a range of diverse people in the world that need consideration, and not just the so-called standard average person where they can read, they can write, they can use a mouse. It could be someone with fine motor skill problems. It's communication in the way that you as a person ensure that the message you're trying to give the other person is received and is understood.
Narelle, I'm sitting here imagining I'm a CEO or the Chief Information Officer in a large organisation, particularly an IT organisation, and I'm thinking the opportunity you're talking about there is massive. The potential market that's available to the accessibility process is really substantial.
It is. You said 1 in 15. It's not actually 1 in 15. The 2018 census, I think there were 4.4 million people acknowledged to have a disability.
It's extraordinary.
There is, I think there was between 800,000 and a million people, English as a second language.
Yes.
There's another barrier, and that's 2018. So we're talking, based on 2018 figures, the population of Queensland. And that's those that are acknowledged. That's not those that, like my mother who only has a grade 7 level of education, or anyone that, for a while there, the standard was you finish in grade 8.
Yes.
So those people, their level of education is not as high as it is now. It doesn't include those people that might not tell you that they can't read or they can't create an invoice. It could be the tradie that you work with all the time, and he comes in, he does your plumbing, but he's never been quite game enough to tell you, I can't do the invoice. What he'll say is, I'll get the office to do the invoice. And the reason might be he does not have the ability, because the software, the tools have not had accessibility included to allow him to be an independent person.
Wow. Opportunities are vast.
It is huge.
So, Narelle, pardon me, I hear you talk about the, vast and growing population of Australia who speak English as a second language. And as you know, I'm a linguist. As soon as I heard you say that, I go, oh, we could just make sure that there's no sentences more than 15 words, and those people are going to find it much, much more appealing.
Exactly. But it's more than that. It is, Mark, in his interview, you'll hear Mark talk about different techniques like alt text. But it's even down to thinking about the colours you use in your website, the type of contrast, the wording that you use. It is so important that it's considered as a whole. And it's not just the website, it's your PDFs, it's your documentation, it is even the way you speak. If you're going to an engineering convention, yeah, you're going to use engineering terms. However, you are still going to find that person that English is a second language, or that person that is dyslexic, or there'll be engineers that can't hear properly, so any YouTubes or any videos need captioning, which is just should be part of everyday life. It is such an important area.
It strikes me, the examples you're giving, I think, are profoundly significant, and the different range of people that you're talking about, each one of them has an opportunity for a designer or a website developer to go, oh, how do I deal with somebody who speaks a second language? How do I deal with somebody who has a hearing? What do I do with somebody who, as you know, I didn't read until, because of my eyes, I didn't read until I was 30, 30.
Yeah.
Are we actually aware of not how many problems there are, how many opportunities there are for us to make simple changes that could have profound impact? And when you're talking about the range of disability you're talking about, because my head's gone, it must be 1 in 5, that's a marketplace, and you're talking about really simple, small, obvious changes, contrast in colour.
Yeah. It is obvious changes, but it's also a lack of awareness. My particular opinion, and I don't know whether it's held by lots of people, but it's my opinion, is that me being vision impaired, the onus is also on the vision impaired to educate.
Oh, nice.
And to say that, well, yeah, we do have this issue, and we can't actually do that the way a normal person would read. I use an assistive technology. I can help you to set that up so that everyone can read it.
Yes.
And what you would do for me would still apply for someone that is dyslexic, for someone that is elderly, for someone that has language issues. The tools the techniques that you would use for me will also apply across the board. Obviously not for someone that's hearing impaired. However, those that are deafblind, the moment you throw in the techniques for the hearing impaired, you're covering off the deaf and the blind, and you're covering off the dyslexic, and it's suddenly you're widening it again.
Wow.
And you're covering off that person that has a stroke this afternoon and gets up tomorrow morning and says, oh my gosh, my world's changed. I need different techniques to do this, different strategies.
Yeah.
However, I am still a person, I'm independent, and to me independence is my aim. I love being independent, as you know, because I keep telling stories. But
I do.
Yeah.
And I encourage you to keep doing that. Yes.
Some don't get mentioned. But it is all about everyone having the right to be independent, having the right to read their own private mail, or hear that phone call, or be able to, even a person sitting on a noisy train, that's situational disability there. And I dislike the word disability. It's a situational environment where you need to use a different strategy to do what you want to do. Captioning.
Yeah. Because as a professional negotiator, all I'm hearing here is not disabilities or obstacles all I'm hearing, and it goes back to your beautiful comment about it's about the communication,
Yeah.
and it's about both parties playing a role. It's, can I, as the developer, make sure I've got a blind person assisting me so I understand what I'm doing?
Exactly.
And it's also the responsibility of the blind person to go, here's not only what the obstacle is, but here's what I need you to do, which would make it simple and easy for me.
Exactly. And don't reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
It is one of the things when you do anything. I mean, who's going to go and if they've got to put a tyre, they're not going to go and reinvent a tyre to put a tyre on a car. Don't do the same for a web page or a document. It's adding a few technologies that should become standard operating practice. In your SOP manual, it should be just standard policy that no matter what you do, when you do a PDF, when you do a Word document, when you do a website, an Excel document, a PowerPoint, consider the communication needs of everyone. And it's not saying to everyone, tell me what you don't know or what have you missed. That person won't know what they've missed. They really don't. One of my learned friends, particularly the one sitting to my left, has a habit of when he walks into a room to run a conference, he actually looks to see where everyone's sitting and thinking, okay, if that person always sits in the centre, they could have a vision problem, they could have a hearing problem, they could have an accessibility problem. It's not making assumptions, and that's what it is. So it's accessibility is ensuring that you meet the communication needs of the other person by not making assumptions and by providing some strategies and techniques and tools to ensure that they've got the message you want them to hear.
Isn't it? I'm hearing you say a wonderful thing that both the people doing the development and managing the site actually need to have greater relationship and connection and inclusion with the people who are not the people they're missing out, because they are, but they're the people who hold the opportunity for a whole new marketplace.
It is. It is such a big marketplace. It's been interesting. I've been going to some meetings and it's been really interesting when I talk about this and people get such a shocked sound in their voice when I point out how many people they're missing out on in their market. You do get that person that says, oh, it doesn't apply to me. And I'll say, yeah, okay. And they'll say, we deal with X, Y, and Z. I said, yes, but you don't know the communication needs. You don't know if the decision maker is a person that has a sight impairment or a hearing impairment. You will not have any idea if they've got a fine motor skill problem. So if you give them a big A3 page and they've got fine motor skill problems and it's been rolled up really tightly, that's going to be maybe a problem for them to open it out. It could be the person that you want to really impress and get that contract with needs the techniques and tools of accessibility, and you're not going to get the contract because the other company has said, whoops, we've got to put in accessibility. They'll get the contract. I know for me, with my family, my sons, my husband, my sister, my extended family, I will say, oh, look, I need to find so-and-so. I'll find it. And I'll ring them and say, oh, so-and-so did this, it was really good. I didn't have to ask for them to ensure the PDF was accessible. They then say, oh, well, we'll go and deal with them as well. So it's also about referrals. It's also about building your market through referrals and through looking after those customers, because, again,
looking after customers is pretty important.
It's about service.
If I go onto a website and I can't get what I want, I think a minute's longer than, I'm not going to wait a minute. But if I can't scan a homepage and work out where I go next in 15 or 20 seconds, I'm not going to stick around. And I just wonder how much business is walking out the door of businesses because of that they haven't got a clue. It must be substantial.
It is. I actually know, particularly in the hospitality sector right now, there is a private Facebook group for the vision impaired that people are jumping on and giving the names of cafes and restaurants that are accessible.
Isn't that wonderful?
And I went on there and I thought, oh, okay, I know them, I'll go to them.
Yeah.
Because the menu's online, it is not an image.
Yeah.
I can choose my food myself.
Yeah.
I don't need to ask someone to read me the menu or to read the drinks list. I can do it all myself.
Yeah.
And that is a nice thing to do.
That's got to be almost the central issue of what your accessibility work is about.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It's breaking down communication barriers.
And Narelle, if we all talk about fairness and equity, there's a million opportunities in every example you give. There's another little gem that I go, well, there's an opportunity for greater equity. There's an opportunity for fairness.
There's an opportunity for business.
And there's an opportunity for business.
Yeah.
Yeah. The business potential that sits in here, I'm just sitting here interviewing and talking with you and having a conversation, and I'm just blown away by the potential that's available to every one of us.
Yes. That's it.
Extraordinary.
It's there. Every person deserves the right to be independent.
Yeah.
And they really do.
Yeah.
To the ability that they can. I should put that on. Because everyone has different levels of ability.
Yes.
My mother is very independent. However, ask my mother to get to South Bank and she'll go, no.
Yeah. Yeah. Narelle, I've got my Narelle personal questions to ask.
I don't like these.
But before I do, I want to preempt it a little bit. I was the keynote speaker at a conference on the Gold Coast just a couple of days back. And me being the diligent person I am, and me wanting to understand the customer and the audience, I turn up 3 hours early and I watch the people who present before me. And I imagine I witnessed at least, I think I saw 40 slides in that 3 hours. And me being me, I'm the behavioural scientist, I count everything. There were 26 slides that had information on it that I couldn't read. And with my glasses on, I have 20/20 vision. And I sat there thinking, these slides need an overhaul. Now, it wasn't just one person, there were 4 or 5 different people presenting. And I was amazed how much text there was on the slides. How much text that I couldn't read. The pale green has become very fashionable.
Yep.
And they had pale green background with white print. And I thought, now when you said about contrast right at the beginning, I thought big enough words, small keywords or key phrases, contrast, and yours and Mark's words just keep echoing. It's got to be simple, it's got to be clean, it's got to be easy to see, read, access, understand.
Yes.
And it's got to be, the word either smooth or flow. I love when things happen smoothly.
Yes.
And I can't tell you how hard I worked during those presentations. And I think, wow, the chances, the opportunities are absolutely everywhere.
Can I point out how many people other than you would have had the same problem? So how many people didn't get the communication that they were there for.
Yep.
It's massive.
Yep. And in 3 of the cases, the people spoke extremely quickly. So, and you know me, I'm a copious note taker. It was difficult to get the key points down, and every key point on every slide was a sentence. And I went, summarise it, make it 5 words.
That's it.
Yeah.
I have an awful habit of falling asleep. I've been known to fall asleep at musicals, particularly when my mother takes me. I have been known to fall asleep during lectures. I'm very good at that. You want to keep anyone's attention, keep it short, keep it sharp. Don't waffle.
Yep.
And this coming from a well-known waffler.
You've got a better chance when you're doing it out loud. We can't have long.
No.
The research for years and years and years, forever, has said the words that we hear, 10% of it is all we'll have tomorrow.
Look at the 80-20 principle. There's another one. You might hear the whole thing, but you only take in 20% of it. You know, it's a huge percentage of waste.
It's fascinating. This is an interview about DASAT, but what we've realised is this is an interview about the opportunity that sits before every one of us.
It is there. It is. It's massive. I am a very independent, with my guide dog mobile person. I do the cooking. I'm no longer allowed to drive cars. I'm no longer allowed in cattle yards. My sister banned me. I'm no longer allowed to go shooting. My brother-in-law banned me, and my husband, and my sister, and my sons. But I still get out there, I cook. I go to travel. We were in France 4 years ago, and we went to a museum, the Borgias, about the Borgias, and we'd gone in, and I had my cane. I have more sight than I've got now. And I've never forgotten this bloke. This security guard came running up to my husband, and my husband understands French, and he said, "Oh, does your wife have a side issue?" And my husband goes, yeah, oui. And the security guard came back with a Braille pamphlet. And then he took Mark, my husband, and he showed Mark they actually had part of the exhibitions were able to be touched by the vision impaired.
Wow.
So they might have the actual statue, and then they would have a miniature of the statue that we could touch and we could feel. And if they had something that was audio,
how extraordinary, how wonderful.
They had a similar thing. It was incredible. It was accessible, and that's accessibility. That's getting a message across. And we went through this fantastic museum about the Borgias, and because of the effort that they'd gone to, in 2 hours I learnt more there than I'd learnt in the previous 2 weeks of wandering around France.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And again, your word of simple, that is not difficult to do. You've got a beautiful statue, and you just do a small replica.
Exactly.
How little yet profoundly powerful.
It got the message across. I don't want to hear this question.
So, Narelle, a personal question.
Yes,
if I may.
Oh, you might.
Thank you. I've talked about the slides and just a few things that I'd like to see different on them. From and through your expert perspective, if we could make a recommendation to all businesses to make 3 small changes in their website that would just transform it, from Narelle's point of view, what would be the 3?
See everyone as normal. which would mean ensuring that you meet the client's needs,
Yeah.
their communication needs,
Yeah.
which would mean implementing accessibility techniques.
Mm-hmm.
But the most important is realising everyone is normal.
Mm. Yeah. So really be aware, considerate, observant of what the different sets of needs are in what you're doing.
Yes.
Yeah. And don't consider them exceptional or disadvantaged or anything else. Don't put a label on it. Just go, let's have a look at how many needs there are out there that we can simply incorporate
Yes.
what we're doing. Yeah. What would be 3 of those changes that would occur on sites as a result of that?
Contrast.
Yep.
That's a big one.
Biggie. Yep.
Make sure contrast is there at all times.
Yeah.
The second one, language.
Mm-hmm.
Understandable language.
Nice.
That it is not able to ensure that it can be understood by
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah.
And the third one, simple reading thing. We read left to right, top to bottom.
Mm.
It's just follow the reading rules that we always do.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying about the language
Mm.
and the contrast.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, as a linguist, and the simple language, in plain language, the things I would say about that from a linguistic perspective would be certainly short sentences and shorter questions.
Yes.
Yeah. I would say key points, not sentences.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
I just want to check that my assumptions are getting accurate and close. The other language things that I think are important are, can I leave a space between my lines that are clear enough so that the lines aren't too close?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other is, I have a golden rule when I send an email. I never send it with more than 3 lines in a paragraph. So there's no body of reading to do, that I break it into small bite-sized chunks. Is that the sort of thing you're thinking of?
It is. It is that just those simple things ensure readability, which is so important because the words that you use, the structure of the document or the page gives communication.
Yeah.
Which is what I'm passionate about.
Yeah. The other thing, and it's a sight, or it's a visual spatial factor. And if I'm using, say, a mouse or a touchscreen, whichever, I'm always amazed that the next thing I have to do is always in different places.
That's it.
And I go, why would we do that? Why isn't there an international next step that we never, it's just always there.
That's it. Top to bottom,
Be so
left
simple,
to right.
wouldn't it?
Well, that's how you read a book.
Yeah.
Top to bottom, left to right.
Yeah.
So that same rule should apply to everything.
Yeah. Narelle, when you go to a website as Narelle, what's the thing that happens regularly on most sites that gets up your nose?
Banking sites trying to BPay. I hate it with a passion.
What is it?
I won't name the bank, but there is one bank that I often get caught because I have to tab through the fields and they use radio buttons, which is circles.
Yes.
And you sit there and I go in a loop until I realise it might take me 2 or 3 goes and I think, I'm in that loop.
Yeah.
Okay, now I've got to work out how to get out of that loop. So I've got to change to the selection that I need in the radio button, then work out how I'm going to get out of that.
Yeah.
And it happens a couple of times a week. Every time I have to pay a bill.
Yeah.
And it is the most frustrating, annoying thing.
Yeah.
That
See, I listen to you there and I go, oh, that needed an auditory instruction capacity.
Or don't use radio buttons.
Or don't use the radio
Just
buttons.
don't use radio buttons.
The other thing that it says is spatial location consideration. I'd actually call it user choreography.
Yep, that's exactly it.
Damn important.
It is.
Yeah.
Think about the fact that someone that can only use a keyboard will use that tab key. It becomes one of the most important keys on the keyboard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're in a loop and you can't get out, it's painful.
Yeah. You've got one sentence to deliver to all the CEOs and all the CIOs, the Chief Information Officers, in the country. What's your one sentence to them about accessibility?
Accessibility should be just part of standard operation practice, done every day as just a standard part of the work.
Yeah, yeah. Excellent. Couldn't agree more.
That's all it is.
And if you could say something to them about the commercial possibility that accessibility offers, what would that be?
Brings in customers. It extends your market reach.
That's pretty clear.
That's all it does.
Yeah. And who pays the bills? The
Customers.
customer.
That's right.
Pretty powerful message.
Simple message.
Narelle Gaddy, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Parker.
Thank you.